Right, I'm going to bring the walls out, and my object is, as it's going to be a cuff bracelet, I do not want to reduce it. So I want to bring the cut side out in stages, or my cone will start to work against me. Right, let's just see what we got there. It's not enough for what I need. I'll just take a little bit more on that, then I'm going to anneal this quite a bit through this process. I've changed the angle of the next cone, as you can see, just to increase my... See, the coin is reducing very slowly, but I just want it to bring the cut side out. I use a different die for different jobs. Now, where are they? Not quite. No, for God's sake. Oh, there you go. Right, now I'm going to... it's not that one, that's this one. Use that. Now I've annealed it and ready to reduce it enough to go in this die, but I've checked the cut side already and it's not the best of coins already, so I'm not putting it. Jammed up. When you fold at different angles, completely different, you will have to compromise with the... Now that to me is the way I want it. Now, because I've got plenty of reed to be stable on my pusher and enough of the cut side to be ready for the first cone. Well, it's slightly out, but I can sort that out on the ring stretcher, but so far that's the way I want it to look, and then that will push the walls out and it'll start to expand. Right, that's that job done. Like I say, I don't know if you can see, it's not the best, it's kind of thin there already, but hey ho, let's see, we're in too deep now. And this isn't the best coin in the stack. The reed has got to be polished up, there's no two ways about it, so I've got no damage to the reed I'm worried about while I do this process, because I'm going to polish the reed in. Right, this is exactly the shape I wanted, that's what I mean. So there's plenty of stable on the spacer. First one, not a push-through spacer. They come with push-through ones, obviously, and then you got your in-betweens, and then that just pushes through. I'll just keep that ready for when I'm ready to push through. But it's just the shape I want. Don't forget, you would normally have a 3/4 inch punch on if you're making a Morgan dollar cuff, but we'll push the boundaries here and we'll go with the smallest punch that was available at the time. Right, remember, same principle as nylon. It's got to be stable, but the nylon and the Delrin can give way. So, and these are notorious for buckling, so can't take any chances with the Morgan. And I'm not really bothered about the reed, because I'm going to polish that in anyway, because it was not a good coin to start with. I'll do that at the end. The walls are coming out, but the reed is still stable. I'll be ready for another spacer. Might be ready for the push through spacer. Now remember, it needs to be stable on the reed. If you're not ready for the push through spacer, you continue with the one below. To me that feels like it needs to be annealed, but I haven't got a lot of choice here. I'm going to anneal that. Right, I'll be back in a minute. That's annealed. You go, oh, I can't take it off the cone, I can't get my ring off the cone, blah blah blah, said the vicar to the actress. Anneal it all. Just anneal your coin while it's on the ring, on the cone. Just drop it all into water and you're done and dusted. It's the beauty of it. And if you, like me, I was feeling it work hard and then I thought, I don't want to push it anymore. Now I was going to have trouble getting that off the cone. Now I could whack it, smash it, talk to it. It wasn't coming off in the way that I wanted it to come off. So just anneal the lot. It's all steel, silver, no problem. Now that's much better. You can feel that. It's beautiful. What I've done there is I've given myself enough space. Retard. Where? Oh, looking in the mirror. Me. There you go. Process 1 over and done with. Ring. See there? Now if I was keeping the reed on this because it was a decent Morgan, I'm not saying it's not a decent Morgan, all Morgans are worth making into rings and stuff, but sometimes due to the age, I mean that's like 1921, so it's under 100 years old or whatever, over mathematics or whatever. The reed is not in the greatest shape. It's understandable. It's passed through a lot of hands. But that's stage 1 done and dusted. Looking alright. Tidy that up, see if any micro tears, and get on to the next stage. There was 4 weak spots in this coin, thinner than the others, and it shouldn't be at that stage. But that's because I stretched it out on the ring stretcher. You can actually see them, see the plate marks. It's not a lot to worry about at the present, but that will be an issue come later stages. So what that has taught me is, with the Morgan, the first cone needs to be a different degree. So basically you folded it the way you wanted it, and your first cone would cope with the size of the cut side without being stretched out. So you'd need a smaller spacer, which you need to start with, and a different degree cone. Right, that's on the to-do list. Right, now the next cone of the work or jammed. Right. That's work hardening. Right, that space is finished with. It goes back with the cone that needs to be adjusted. Right, keep that there. And it also needs a spacer in between the push through spacer. Right, so I'll do that and then I'll be back. Right, again I annealed it on the cone. If you can get 2 anneals in, it's safer. It cuts down your splitting by 90%, maybe more. It's well worth it. And different to the Delta, and obviously it's not going to mount. And the steel is there. It's just remember it is steel. And once you're finished with your units, just wipe them down with same way as you'd clean your die, with just a little bit of sandpaper like that. Just tidy it up. Might about a few scratches, and then just give it a wipe down with WD or whatever. this isn't a push-through spacer. Don't get confused and start tugging on your handle of your 10-ton like some demented baboon. You make sure you know what you're doing to start with. And that reminds me. Right, that's the push-through one. That's the thing I need. Interesting. What am I jamming up on there? Nothing. Strange. Right, okay. In for a penny, in for a Morgan dollar. It seems to be a bit jammy, that. Not quite. See, it would still pull through on the new spacer system. You've got to make sure it's very stable, because that's where they go wrong. They start to pull through, and then you read it starts to wobble like a wobbly bob, and then you're finished. Looks better. Sounds a bit better. Remember, if you get stuck, you just flip it over like that. Hold on to your cone from underneath. And out she comes. You really want to grab it though, because you don't want to damage your coin, especially if you're using let's say a Harbour Freight, whether you've got you got steel bars running parallel, so it runs that way. It will damage it. Right, that should be. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That'll push through nicely, that. And that'll be enough for today. Right. Nice and stable, nice and stable. If you keep it stable, you won't have any problems at all. Common sense. If you think it needs to be annealed and you can't get it off your cone, anneal the lot. But be bloody careful if you do it that way I've just suggested, the way I've been doing it, because what you'll do is you'll forget and you'll go to grab the coin or the cone and it'll burn your hands. And that's your problem, not mine. Right. Now I need one in between, don't I? Right, let's mark off what I've got to do. That's there. That goes with it. That's the size has got to be changed. That's a push through for this one, but that's going to be for the next cone. So we'll keep all that there, ready for another day. Getting there. Like I say, that's not giving me as much trouble as I thought, but it's early days. Early days. Like you can see. Now I wasn't too bothered with the reed like I told you before, but you really must cover it with your electrical tape or whatever. I've used little bit of that, what's it called, Gorilla Tape. Don't monkey around, it's a load of crap, don't waste your money on it. I've got 2 wheels of the stuff now. Someone suggested I should tape up my big British mouth with it. That ain't strong enough to stop me from yabbering on like a demented baboon. Right, not bad, getting there. Like I said, I'm really taking my time to explain things because this is the system that I think is the best. You got the Dowrin, it's alright, don't get me wrong. The nylon system is good, but I think this system is a hell of a lot more stable and it will last forever. That's about it for today. Right, tidied it up. Thin spots. So far so good. Like I said, I had 4 little thin spots when I used the ring stretcher. I do not recommend using the ring stretcher to stretch it out big enough for the first cone. So that's why the first cone will be recalculated to go with the fold, because it did weaken it. I think it's weakened it, but time will tell on that. But on the whole, happy as Larry. Like I said, I was taking the reed off anyway, so I gave that a rub down. I didn't be doing this till the end of the process, but I want to do it in section by section so you can actually see how it develops by stage. But on the whole, that Morgan's looking quite nice, and it wasn't the best Morgan in the world, so we shall see. Cone number 3. Now the standard set comes 4 cones, which takes you to the bangle stretcher size. So you can put it on your bangle stretcher and away you go. Now the mega stretcher, which is the mega set, will take you to 6.5 inches of material to work with. So that's a 7.5 inch wrist. So you can actually make a bangle from that. Now let's get this stretched out on cone number 3. Because this basically is what we're trying to is push this reed to the limit so it doesn't wobble. Now I think we've got it sorted out with the spacer system. The nylon and the Dowrin were given an uneven, not all the time, because I've got good results out of Dowrin and nylon, so not all the time, but on certain coins, make sure when your plates are split, it's not gonna buckle. We're starting to get some shape here. Now that might be jammed into the spacer, because this is the push through spacer. Where is the push through spacer? That's that one there. Again, flip it upside down. Jammed in, and you release. Well, that's finished, and that goes with that cone there. So those 2 are done. Push through spacer. Right, the push through spacer is not acceptable. That is too dangerous. So we go on to the in between. Now, previously on that in between it had to be adjusted. On this one it has to be adjusted as well, recalculated. So basically we're going to do another size spacer on that. That's too risky. I've gone too far to throw that away. And there's no more wiggle room on that spacer. So definitely that spacer's wrong, but it will be adjusted to suit. Right, readjustment. We'll see it goes from there. It sits nicely on that. That's taken shape beautifully. Right, that's whacked out there. That's maxed. Right, release that. Right, the in-between space is done. Release spacer, well, push through spacer. Perfect shape. Lovely. That'll push through nicely, that. Make sure everything is stable. Oh, made a dash for the Mexican border. Right, spacer with the cone, but that's for your next push anyway. That's your in-between done and dusted. I can go there. Right, let's have a look. That is absolutely amazing. Nice size. One more cone to go, and we're on to, let's have a look here. It's the first cone. So one more cone to go. Look, and we're on to the bangle stretcher. If you don't have a bangle stretcher, you need the mega set, which will take you to be able to make a bangle. We'll cover that later. That is absolutely lovely. But what I'm impressed is the reed. The reed's not wobbling. So far so good. And that's all to do with the new spacer system, that. Yeah, so far very happy. Then right, onto the next cone. I'll just quick push through this on the same cone you just actually watched. I'll show you another advantage of steel compared to Darren or nylon. So this is, we've already done this cone, you just watched it. But if you keep it like that, then you got that. You now have the advantage of seeing where your thin spots are, if there's any, and using it as a mandarin, tapping it into shape. As it happens, this doesn't actually need it. I only did this to show you what can be and can't be done. This is just a demonstration on see how far we can push this Morgan. Well, that to me there I don't know if that did any good or not at all. But I've got a little bit of wiggle room on this. I've been peeling this Morgan back from the start to see how this thing actually ticks. And it's the new spacer system and the steel cones. It's actually playing by the ball. That's a long way to go yet. I've got 2 cones on the to push through there if I'm not going to use the bangle stretcher. But anyway, that'll be enough until we get another annealing. There she goes. Right, that's done. Right, let's leave it there for the time being. Right, we're on to cone number 4, which is the one that takes you on to bangle stretcher size. Now, we're using the one below again that you just push through on the 3rd cone. 30 minutes I've been looking for this today. I swear someone comes into the workshop and moves things about. It's mental. Nearly made another one. Right. Stable. Because you just push through on that. Keep your plates nice and make sure you're not going to slip. I'm going to stretch this out. Let's see. Doesn't matter if it sticks in the spacer, like I say, just release it like this. Hold it from underneath. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. That's that stage done. Right now, the in-between spacer is again needs to be recalculated, so I'll do that now, and then that's the only one that's left to be done. I've done every single one as I've gone up through the process, so everything is right apart from this spacer. It needs to be recalculated, and because to me that's not stable enough, and if you take your chances you will buckle your reed. So I'll just make that now and come back and finish this process, and it'll be ready for the bangle stretcher. Right, that's the spacer that I needed to be readjusted. As you can see, still a little bit iffy on that. Too risky, because these reeds really do wobble in these Morgans. The readjustment one, that's much better. Put that aside to be re-pulled. That needs to be done. Again, I annealed it because the length of time to make the new spacer on the cone, and then just dropped it all into some water. But like I said previously, be careful, that cone is red hot as well. Right. Right, that's it maxed out. Push through spacer. Now that hasn't brought it out enough, but it would have brought it out. That was the replacement spacer. I mean the spacer I readjusted to that one. I'm going to use that. It might need an extra one in this set. So I'll look at that later on. Make sure it's just sat on your plates. You don't want it tipping over. Now that should fit the push-through spacer, and it really does. It's lovely and stable, that is. Right, that's big enough for work on your bangle stretcher. Probably big enough to work on, say you buy a Peppy bangle stretcher, then we'll want to design up a ring stretcher with the 4 plates. So it's probably was big enough on the last one, but I can't confirm that because I haven't got one. I think I might get one because I do like the design of them. Right, that's that done. Let's stay like that now. Where's like that and that, I think, needs to be a pair to get you onto that. That's basically it, really. The only place I'm concerned about is there, and I did that. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I stretched this out on the ring stretcher to get it big enough to take the first cone. That was a mistake because it's in the, I saw 4 pressure points on the second process, but on the whole the Morgan has stood up to it because it was basically to see what would happen to the reed, and the reed hasn't wobbled. You can see it's, but still got to go on the ring stretcher yet, so it still might wobble yet. Oh, wobbly bob, he ain't gone yet. Right, That's that.